what happens to the internet in general, right? We all have relied, especially back then when we were growing up, right? As kids, we saw internet. Here is this infinite library we all have access to. You can go find anything. And usually back in our days, right? I mean, most information that you will come across is fairly accurate, right? But with GenAI, do you think the accuracy part, the reliability part of information, and not just on these platforms, but internet in general, right? That is likely to go down.
It's hard to say. See, I mean, this is not a new question, right? Like, if you go back to, like, say, 1993, we have this concept of a eternal September, right? Typically, like, what used to happen is every time I think people in the fall or any new batch used to join the academia or like any of the colleges would have a slew of new students who would get access to the internet and hence Usenet. And I don't know if there are enough people who even remember Usenet now, but it was like a communication mechanism where like you could post to groups and there were special interest groups you could do. So think of it as a precursor to Reddit, I think, or Quora. That is probably the closest I can think of. And then you had all of this influx of people, right, who didn't know how to ask questions or even search, and would have the quality of discourse going down. And people said, no, the internet is going to the dogs. And to some extent, that has happened, right? I think Cory Doctorow has written this excellent tweet storm, and also I think he's written a book where it uses the word enshittification of platforms, and I think to some extent that has happened. But also I think a lot of internet is not easily available. Right? For example, look at research reports that are behind paywalls. A lot of the content that is behind paywalls, and that will still have a higher value. Marketing communications, yeah, I think some of that will get affected, and hence people will have to figure out how to work that angle. Use community, use better communication. How do you stand out from the crowd? So those questions have to be answered. But if it like spammy content, I think spammy content has been on the internet forever. It's not like a new problem. Technology will to some extent will amplify it, but just as we had like with emails spam, right? Like today, many of us don't even look at the spam folder because it has become so good that we can just say select all and delete for the most time, or we can just scan it once and just delete it, right? Similarly, I think people will become better at that. And if there are sites that are like becoming very spammy, people will add them to block list, or they won't be higher rank in the indexes. So all of those things will kind of come into the picture to overcome this problem. And it's not as a new problem. We had email spam issues, we have web spam issues. We always had, like, for example, conspiracy sites. So again, like, it's not as if like conspiracy sites is like something new. I think there are like problematic sites like 4chan also that have been around forever. So you will have those problems. I think technology will kind of amplify them, but we'll kind of figure out ways to curate that content, because again, this is not as if it's a new problem. Technology will amplify it, but also technology can also act as better at filtering, right, as we have seen as well.